Hello there. So I've recently moved house and started to fit laminate flooring in every room, thinking that I was avoiding the problem of having carpet and having people spill stuff on the carpet and stain it and still look really nice in 30 years' time, which may well be the case. But as I've discovered, laminate flooring is a little bit susceptible to a couple of things. Firstly, dropping stuff on it. I've already, I think the first room that I decorated, within a week I dropped something heavy and sharp on a piece of laminate flooring and chipped a piece of the board. But the other thing is water. Somebody spilling a drink in a room at a party, or perhaps when you're bleeding your radiators, all the water falls down between the cracks in the laminate flooring, and then what supposedly happens is it could all swell up and look an absolute state. So in this video, I'm actually going to perform a bit of an experiment using water and laminate flooring to see actually how robust laminate flooring is. Now, this laminate flooring came from Wix. I think it's called something like click and fit laminate flooring, although as it turns out, this particular laminate flooring neither clicks nor fits that well. It just kind of slots together. Unlike the laminate flooring, which really butts up extremely close to each other, this laminate flooring has purposefully a tiny sort of groove between the planks that are meant to make them look more like genuine floor planks. So for this experiment, I've got lots of offcuts from fitting now 3 rooms with laminate flooring, and I'm going to basically pour water on the planks and see what happens at various time stages after doing that. How much water can I spill on a laminate flooring and still get away with it? Filled up a glass with water. I'm going to pour it in 2 places on the laminate floor. I'm going to pour it on the main body of the board. And yes, you might well be thinking, and you are completely correct, obviously, if you spill water on the central part of the board, there isn't a problem. The water doesn't ingress into the board through the top of the board. It's at the edges. So I'm also going to pour a load of water down the join in this laminate flooring. After a little bit of hassle, realising that my test rig isn't actually level and all the water runs off, when I eventually get it to stay in the crack, we'll leave it for hours and see what happens. So I started this experiment at 6 o'clock one evening. So about 2 hours later into the experiment, and there's no perceivable, visible swelling of the wood. The water is still just resting on the surface of the wood. So that's a good sign that actually you can just mop up the water as soon as it's spilled and you'll probably get away with it. 24 hours later, I found exactly the same thing. You can feel the surface of the wood and doesn't appear to be any bulging at all. So you do seem to be able to get away with it. It seems quite robust. Realistically, you're not going to be leaving water on the surface of your laminate flooring for more than a couple of hours, really. So at this point, the experiment was kind of concluded. But I thought, well, okay, these boards are really closely butted up. And it's possible that they're so butted up that they're really not letting any water in between them. But not all boards will be as butted up as that. Boards expand and contract throughout the year and sometimes can let more water in therefore. So I thought, well, I'll extend this experiment a little bit by completely separating these boards. And when you do that, firstly, what you can see is that very little water has actually seeped in down this crack. So if boards are very well butted up against each other, you really haven't got to worry that much about the boards soaking up a load of liquid. But now I'm going to leave that water settled actually on the kind of rougher, non-laminated part of the join between these boards, just to see, really, do the kind of ultimate experiment and see what actually happens if you really drench these boards in water. So I came back a further 24 hours later, and initially I thought that these laminate boards were miraculous, to be honest. I looked at it, felt it, couldn't feel any perceivable bulging or swelling in the laminate flooring. You could have a swimming pool on your flooring and it wouldn't be a problem. But then I tried to join these 2 bits of laminate flooring together again and found that there was a very slight swelling of the wood, which meant that you couldn't really see it, but if you ran your finger over the join between the newly connected pieces of laminate flooring, you could feel a kind of step from one piece of wood to the other. So it does seem as if that kind of non-laminated part is the part of the wood, obviously, that soaks up liquid and then can cause problems. But it has taken, here in this test, 24 hours, and it's taken an extreme situation with the boards really far apart. So what is the message here? Well, firstly, I'm going to worry less about spilling water on laminate flooring. I will still dry it straight away, but I'm not going to be too concerned that it's all going to start bulging and swelling and warping. I reiterate, it is still extremely important to get liquid up from your laminate flooring. But you haven't got to worry, I don't think, that in 10 minutes' time, it's all going to bulge up. I would say, though, that the longer you leave it, the more likely that the water is going to get kind of sucked in between the gap to a point that you can't get it out, and then it causes bulging. And once wood has expanded and bulged, you're pretty screwed at that point. I had a problem once with a new door. A lot of new panel doors are really cheaply made, and actually if they get moisture in them, they just swell up. The only way I could fix that, and I did fix it, was to clamp 2 bits of wood either side and kind of clamp the wood back to its normal shape. You can't do that with laminate flooring. Once you laid it, unless it's a board right at the edge of a room and you can remove your skirting board or the beading, then you're not going to be able to get it up to fix it. My laminate flooring may not be the same as yours. Not all laminate flooring is created equally. So if I were you, if you've got some offcuts for your own laminate flooring, maybe run a little test for yourself. Run 2 side by side, 2 perfectly butted up pieces of wood, leave them for 24, 48 hours, and 2 that are slightly apart, and see what the difference is between them. Let me know if you get the same result as me, or let me know whether they just swell up and absorb all the water. I'd be interested to know. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Thank you to my loyal patrons who are scrolling down the screen now, especially George Foot, Magnanimous Meg, Jim McCaig, and Jennifer Jones, who are extremely generous patrons. Do subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and I shall see you next time for another one.